Alright, this is John Cole with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And this episode is going to be like no other, right? I'm going to get to share with you guys some real rare persimmons that I've never shown before on video. I do have another video about one of my favorite fruits in the world, persimmons. I'll put a link down below. If I remember, I made it many years ago when I got a few cool varieties of persimmons. But you know, in my journaling, my life, and my travels, I always come across new and different kinds of fruits, and I really thrive on getting and finding exotic different fruits that are not normally available in standard trade. And that's what I love to eat myself, but also more importantly share with you guys to make you guys familiar about what is out there, what is available if you look, if you want to grow your own trees, the cultivars, the varieties that you should be growing of some of these special fruits. Now, this is the persimmon. This happens to be a quite large one right here. And what is a persimmon? Well, it's a fruit, and it is in season between September and December in general. You know, in early season I find, depending on where the fruit is picked, they're harvesting them pretty green, often sold in Asian markets. If you can find them, they're a lot cheaper in Asian markets than standard markets. Can be hard to find in the USA unless you're in like California or the West Coast for the Asian style persimmons, because they're all pretty much grown in California then shipped across the US. In other parts of the country you may find your own kind of persimmon. So they have like the Virginia persimmon, which is on the East Coast. More stringent type. I actually do have a sample of that that's really jacked up. It was not packed right in the mail. And then also they have a Texas persimmon, which I got to try I think when I was in Houston. That's a more stringent type, which I'll be discussing in a little bit. And of course, persimmons are grown around the world. They're originally from Asia. I think China, they've been eating them for over 3,000 years. So this is like a super old style fruit. It's actually one of my favorite fruits, and I really look forward to persimmon season every time of year for the main reason that persimmons are probably my favorite fruit that comes in latest in the winter time, right? Winter time usually is a dry spell for fruits, and maybe you're eating cold storage fruits, maybe you're eating fruits that are imported from other, you know, tropical places around the world. But persimmons, I really look forward to them, because after persimmons, there's basically citrus, and I'm not a big fan of citrus. So persimmons, I mean, they're amazing. So they're a subtropical fruit, and they like the subtropics, so they don't like it getting super cold too much, but they do handle some freeze depending on the variety you get. And they're also grown around the world, so I didn't mention that. I just wanted to talk about that. So China, you know, and Japan and Korea, I mean, if you want to eat some good persimmons, go to China, Japan, Korea. I'd probably say Japan, actually, over all of them, because they have been having some persimmon culture and even have some super rare varieties that I've never even got to see. So if you're a true fruit hunter, you'll be traveling around the world, not just staying in the United States like I am. And then also in Israel, they're grown in Israel and then imported in the United States. They're called the Sharon fruit. That's a cultivar of the persimmon. And I find that in many cases, or most all cases that I've seen, Sharon fruits imported in the United States from Israel have been irradiated. So that's something that I prefer not to choose to eat. Although if you're at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, they will not let you know that they're irradiated before they serve them to you. And then they're also grown in Spain and other places around the world. I think I've also seen them from South Africa. But for me, nothing beats the fruit off my tree, which I still haven't even harvested yet. It's the end of December, and I wait until the end of December, maybe even early January, to the first frost until I harvest mine, because in more northern latitudes, they should be harvested later, and in more southern latitudes, such as like San Diego, they would be harvested sooner in the season. And of course, it also depends on the specific variety. I remember some of my most fond memories is finding a persimmon tree in Santa Rosa, California. I think it got cut down now as a hachiya, and literally, me and my girlfriend at the time, rest in peace, Novalee, we would go harvest like persimmons that literally just look like Christmas tree ornaments, and they're so ripe and gooey and chewy, they're just dropping off the tree, they're just like mush, and it's like, they're the best. So, and we're talking about that astringent versus non-astringent types. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the reason for this video, me talking, is all these persimmons here. So I've collected lots of persimmons from present time, basically grown in Nevada, grown in California, and also even one grown in Maryland. And there are many different kinds. So the main two types of persimmons that are commonly thought of are astringent and non-astringent varieties. This is very important. Generally, non-astringent varieties are the flat ones known as the Fuyus. And the Fuyus can be eaten hard like an apple or soft like a ripe tomato when it's nice and plump and soft and juicy, right? That being said, astringent varieties look more like an acorn in general. And they should be eaten when they're soft. And how do you know if they're soft? Well, they're going to be like a half full water balloon. You can see I could push into this, and I mean, it really is denting. I mean, this thing is super soft. Probably should have been eaten like, a week ago or something like that. But this guy is a one that's been totally ripe and ready to go. Now there are other types that may be astringent depending if they get pollinated or not. So there's a third uncommon type that many people don't know of. It's actually a pollination variant non-astringent persimmon. And I'm lucky because I have them here today, and those are by far my favorite of the three, and they're actually extremely rare and very difficult to find. I've traveled far and wide, made special trips to farms to pick up some of these persimmons so I could share them with you, and the friends that I've shared them with, they've said that, they've had nothing better, and we'll share those with you guys in a minute anyways. And they're more of the chocolate or cinnamon or maru style persimmons. Maybe you can find them more in Japan, but they're pretty rare to find them in the USA. Let's see, what else? Oh, and I want to say that persimmons, while they are technically a fruit, they also are classified, they're actually classified as a berry, so you could look, they kind of grow like little berries. These are actually some astringent type, and this is a cultivar, I think, from China or Japan. I forget the exact Chinese name, but it translates to like cow nipple or something. Cow nipple persimmon. Has to be super soft, like this one here on this side. You can see it's just like really smushing in. This guy probably not exactly ripe yet. So how do you ripen an astringent persimmon? That's one of the ones that are the acorn shape. Although I have found astringent persimmons that are like more of a flat-ish shape. So what you have to do is you need to have them at proper temperature. So putting them in your house in the wintertime when your house is around 70 degrees for a couple weeks and check on them regularly. They will ripen over time with just their natural ethylene gas production and with proper climatic conditions. If you guys want to speed that up, there's a few ways that I'm aware of. Number one, you could put it in a bag with apples or bananas, apples and bananas, or apples or in a bag, paper bag, sealed up, and those fruits will release ethylene gas, which will help ripen your persimmons faster. Another technique I have heard is that you could bury your persimmons in rice. This is a technique they actually use in Asia. From what I hear, I don't usually have that much rice around me burying my persimmons, so I've never tried that. Another technique for the astringent kind is if you freeze it, I heard. You could freeze it, and then if you take it out and thaw it, then it's going to be non-astringent, but then now you're eating frozen fruit instead of fresh fruit. Now, let's talk about storage, right? I buy these persimmons are probably at least a month old. Not that I recommend you guys do that, but they can be stored for a month if they're in good condition. I would only store ones that are in ripe condition and not try to have ones that are super soft and ready to eat. They're not going to store a month, obviously. So how to do this is you want to store persimmons at the proper temperature. The proper temperature, according to the UC Davis post-harvest, 32 degrees. So you're like, John, water freezes at 32 degrees. Why don't persimmons freeze at 32 degrees like water freezes at 32 degrees? Well, that's because of the sugar content. These guys are high in glucose. Because of their high in glucose, they don't freeze at 32. It might be a few degrees colder. So if you keep them at 32, that's the optimal temperature to keep them in suspended animation so that you can eat them later on in the season. I have a friend that used to buy amagaki persimmons, another amazing Japanese persimmon. Kailash, what's up, Kailash? He would get amagaki persimmons and get cases and cases and cases, and he'd be able to even eat them through February, when they go out of season in December, and that was like, oh my God, I got to send Kailash some amagakis if I could get some, grown by a farm out in Sacramento. Twin girls, I think, or twin sisters, I don't know. But so you can't store it. And then the other thing, very important, how I store them at a cold temperature, not 32 exactly, but they're in one of my colder fridges. I have fridges set between like 34 to 36. That'd be the best fridge, but I'm currently storing them at 40 degrees. So then they're just going to get softer and not last as long. But more importantly, you want to have an ethylene gas absorber or neutralizer in your fridge. The one I use is called the Berry Breeze. It puts out some small amounts of ozone in your sealed fridge when it is closed, and that will negate the effects of the ethylene gas and also kill any kind of mold or bacteria in there. So I find that they are really helpful for allowing me to keep my fresh fruits and vegetables even longer. So next I want to share with you guys how to pick a persimmon at the store, right? So number one, for me, choosing persimmons are very important. It could mean the success of getting a really sweet, delicious fruit, or the failure of getting just a fruit that has no flavor, no sweetness, and no flavor like they should, right? So number one is I would try to always encourage you guys to pick the deepest, richest most orange fruits as possible. This one's quite orange. It's quite good. And this one I would not normally get, but this one was probably picked a little too early, not quite as deep orange. That's number one. Number two is, you want to look for this, like on the bottom of a Fuyu anyways, they'll start to develop some kind of like cracking. It looks like, you know, an old school painting that was old and then the paint started cracking. You'll see these cracks, and to me those only happen like later in the season when it starts to get cold. The persimmon starts to crack, and to me that's a sign of like the sugar getting higher in it, so it's definitely going to be sweeter. I think those are probably the two main things. Yeah, deep color, maybe uniform shape. I mean, I'm not really a big, you know, I don't have big problems with blemishes. You know, I try to buy all organic fruit whenever possible, but from what I'm aware, persimmons are not a highly sprayed crop, but you should double check that, you know, if you're concerned about that. I haven't had reactions or breakouts when I have eaten non-organic persimmons from the Asian market. Now, how I use them is I mostly just eat my persimmons fresh. I can't, you know, put them in recipes. I don't, you know, cook or do anything with them. They're just so good to eat fresh, and I'm glad to eat just like literally mono meals or just meals only of persimmons to get my fill, and they're so amazing. And otherwise, you can like chop them up, put them in salads. You could add them to like you know, dressings, sauces, recipes. Whether it's a sweet sauce for dessert, you could put them in pies. People bake with them. I would never bake with them. They're too sad. And the other way I like to eat them is actually dried. So they in Japan they do take the astringent kind. They will peel the fruit off. And actually talking about the peels, there are some things in the peels that may be toxic, and there's a study, one study that I saw that somebody ate a persimmon peel and they like lost their life, which is totally crazy, totally insane. So if you're super paranoid, you might want to like peel off the skins of all your persimmons. That being said, you know, I like to chew it up really well and digest it, and I don't feel a problem. The other thing, I will post a link to a video below where I said I made a video, the most delicious part of the persimmon nobody's ever told you about, and that's basically if you peel off the outer skin covering, there's a layer underneath that is so sweet and delicious. I'm not going to get into that because I don't think this persimmon is going to peel like that today. But check that link down below for that video, all right? So yeah, I mean, and persimmons are a wealth of nutrition for you guys. Rich in beta-carotene. I mean, they're orange after all. They got vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, vitamin C, iron, polyphenols, manganese. And brown versions could have anthocyanins, and all the different versions have the amazing flavonoids. You know, these are the compounds in the foods that, in my opinion, you know, help our bodies do the job they need to do, which is to live, survive, thrive, and to heal up. I think with that, let's go ahead and introduce these guys to you. Maybe I'll open a few up to share with you guys. So over on this side, we have a giant Fuyu persimmon. This guy is huge. It's like the size almost like a softball. Look at that. It almost covers my whole head there. And giant Fuyus, I know I haven't found to have the best taste in the world. They're giant, they're cool because they're giant, but I've never found ones that are like super sweet or super delicious, all right? Next one, here we have just a standard hachiya persimmon. This is the more acorn shape. This happens to be super ripe, super ready, super delicious, ready to go. It should basically be like jelly when you eat it, you know. I usually just like to eat these. Sometimes I'll make actually smoothies with persimmons, and it's amazing, like a persimmon banana smoothie with some vanilla bean. Super delicious. Yeah, this astringent type, once again, must be really soft. And look at how soft this is. I could push my finger in there and it leaves a nice dent. Wait, can I write my name in here too? That'd be interesting. All right, next we have the cow nipple persimmon fruit here. I forgot the name. But if you check my Instagram, hey, plug out for my Instagram, link down below, instagram.com/growingyourgreens. I do have a picture of this with the exact name and actually how it made it to America by a fruit explorer that basically were bringing cultivars back to America. This variety, you know, not my favorite. They definitely need to be soft, and these ones were picked a little bit earlier than they should have, in my opinion. But I mean, they're decent. Now this is where we get into some of the super rare and interesting ones, right? First I want to talk about this. So they have persimmons that look like this, like flat shape, and these would be called Fuyus, although that's the one persimmon I actually don't have today, probably one of the most common, and that's the one that you're going to find the most if you guys go to grocery stores. You're going to find flat Fuyus, and once again, just pick them as dark as possible. Later in the season as possible. You know, if you've tried persimmons in September when they just come to the stores, right? Try it again in December before they leave the stores, because they're going to be a riper fruit and they'll be sweeter and even more delicious. But yeah, this would look like a Fuyu, but this is a very special one at that. So these are the more common types you'll find, like just a standard astringent, orange. Now getting over to this side is the side where we get the very interesting one. So this one is an astringent type, kind of like the hachiya, but instead of being like orange on the inside, and maybe we'll cut this open for you guys so you guys can see. This is all like nice and orange on the inside. If we cut this one open, this one is known as a chocolate persimmon. So look at this. Oh my god, that's like deep, rich, brown chocolate color. And the color does not disappoint in the flavor. I mean, so once again, those are the two differences. Chocolate, standard. Chocolate's very rare. And I mean, these guys, I mean, I wish you guys were here to try this. We'll try it for you. I mean, it's sweet, but also I get like overtones of like cinnamon / vanilla. I mean, unfortunately, unless you grow your own tree, you probably won't be able to find these. Yeah. So, yeah, chocolate persimmon. Super delicious. All right. Now, the next persimmon, a little bit more common. This was found in a farmer's market in California, in San Rafael, California. This is also a dark persimmon known as the maru persimmon. And we're going to cut that open for you guys. And look at that one inside. Oh my god, look at that. This one has like a, you know, more, instead of like deep, dark, chocolate colored flesh, it's kind of like a little more spreckled. And once again, these varieties have seeds in general. The Fuyus that you'll find in the store, for most of the time, will not have so many seeds in it. Hachiyas will also have seeds. These guys also my favorite. These ones, in my opinion, they could have been picked riper. They're not kind of sweet. Kind of more bland of flavor, kind of like more like a standard persimmon with a spice of like just a small like cinnamon spice, all right? So I'd say the farmer needs to improve his growing practices personally. All right, next persimmon. Nevada grown and Nevada proud, Nevada strong. This is probably one of my favorites. This is known as the coffee cake persimmon. Fuyu type, this one can be eaten firm, unlike some of the other chocolate deep persimmons. And let's go ahead and open this guy up for you guys. Look at that. Oh my god. It's dripping goo and jelly. Coffee cake. Kind of like not quite as dark as the chocolate. And I really love eating deeply pigmented fruits, such as purple fruits, black fruits. They will have more anthocyanin content. And these are really beneficial compounds for our bodies to help us heal even more effectively and give us more antioxidant protection than even the orange fruits from my research. All right, so we're going to try the coffee cake. Oh my god, this one is super sweet. If like I had my Brix meter, this would be like in the 20s easily. So delicious. I wish you were here to try it with me. A few of my friends, you know who you are, have gotten to try some of these amazing persimmons, and they will attest. They're simply amazing. All right. All right, last variety I got. This one's really messed up. I think there's like mold on the bottom half. But I wanted to show you guys like the size difference between like, you know, like a hachiya here and this guy. This is a Virginia or American persimmon. This was just put in a cup and then shipped to me. Like if you're gonna ship fruit, man, you gotta put them in like an egg carton so that they don't bounce around if they're like this big, or pack them properly, man. It's sad when somebody spends all the money. I think they spent like $15 to ship this to me, a couple of these, and they're all damaged when I got them. So sad. Now these ones, the American persimmons, they have to be ripe. Like, don't ever even eat these. Oh, I could push on it a little bit. If you could push on it a little bit, that's great. But you gotta let them up to be like super soft, super jelly like these guys here. I think half this is like molded. We're gonna see if we can cut off the other half. And these guys are small. Been sitting in my fridge like too long. I was supposed to make this video like before I went to Hawaii, but I was too busy. So I don't know. We're gonna eat some of this. There's not a lot of fruit, lots of seeds. And you know what? That's more about the wild fruits. I really love wild fruits because they're more seedy than fruit. Wow. Oh my god, this is insane. I think I've only had these like once in my life before because I'm not on that side of the country. Like, to me, like, I mean, this is crazy. The flavor of this, not the sweetness, the flavor of this blows away all the persimmons that I have here. Like, I'm not joking. It's like really fruity. Kind of tastes like a complex apricot. Like sweet, not super sweet, but like it's just like really fruity. It reminds me of eating like Starburst fruit cheese. Granted, this one is a little bit dried out too because it's been sitting in the fridge too long, and I think half of it is actually molded. Wow. These are definitely no joke. Not a lot of fruit, man, but the fruit that you get, mi delicioso. Amazing. Oh my god. So if you guys live in the East Coast, man, seriously, plant some American persimmons, eat them when they're fully ripe, and you will be rewarded. You won't even miss these like dark black, coffee cake, maru, or chocolate persimmons that I love so much on this coast. I mean, I'm quite impressed. This is like super good, even though the back half looked like it's maybe molded on there. All right, so what did you guys learn today? You guys learned all about persimmons. This is a fruit that I want you guys to try. I like to say is my favorite fruit in the time of year when it's in season, and that's the thing. Like, John, what's your favorite fruit? Well, persimmon would definitely be in my top 10, but honestly, my favorite fruit is a fruit that I get to enjoy that's ripe in front of me, and it's the season for. I'd rather have super ripe persimmons than jackfruit that's imported from Mexico, which actually I am getting right now, which is actually decent. And I would encourage you guys also to have many fruits that are your favorite, but more importantly, try to strive and get the highest quality as possible. I visit farms, I go to farmers markets to source most of my fruit, as well as grow my own fruit, and I can't wait to harvest my own persimmons in just a few days. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed this episode on persimmons, learning more about persimmons, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share it with somebody else that is not aware about some of these very special varieties of persimmons and about the persimmon fruit, which is one of my favorite fruits in the world, and you definitely got to try it if you never have. I guess also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below. I put out content every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll share what we'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure to click the little bell to get invited as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to teach you guys all about the amazing power of the fruits and the vegetables. I'll put a couple links down below to the videos I made in the past about persimmons. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.